Alright, folks. We saw the Avengers. We saw the Avengers.
I think that's backwards. We saw the Avengers, we came...
So, let's just assume everybody loved it here. And I got some questions prepared. We don't need to talk for 12 minutes about how much we love the movie.
No.
So let's talk about what we didn't like about the movie.
Yeah, that's kind of a good plan, Ryan, because I think everybody who wanted to see the Avengers has gotten to have seen it by now.
So, maybe what didn't happen in the movie that you wanted to happen, or what, just what didn't you like about it? Matt, let's start with you.
Okay. I wish it was 2 hours longer. There wasn't anything really to hate about it, which is, really nice when you can set up, 5 or 6 different superheroes in their own movies, and then you don't have to tell any complicated backstories. Everybody knows what everybody's all about, and you can just move right into the action. Not only that, but they picked a really simple plot. Loki's trying to get some army onto Earth. That's like a really simple plot. So then it became just about the characters and how they have to come together, which is really smart instead of trying to do something complicated.
So you don't think maybe it would have been a little better if it was a little more interesting plot than very generic aliens are trying to take over the world?
I do not think it would have been better. I think you're already trying to manage like 4 main superheroes, 2 sub-superheroes, the supervillain, this whole S.H.I.E.L.D. organization. God, I mean, just the fact that it wasn't a mess, is incredible.
Yeah. Barry? Anything you didn't like?
I honestly can't think of anything. I mean, I saw it again last night, and I mean, there's just not anything I can say. I mean, there's literally nothing that was wrong with it.
Yeah.
I would agree. I could have sat through another 2 hours for sure.
So what was it lacking then? You guys are both saying that you wanted another 2 hours. What did you want to see in the 2 hours? What were you wondering about?
That was said mainly as a joke.
Well, I would seriously be happy with another hour of it, to learn more about. I would have loved to have seen more of Loki in outer space and dealing with the aliens and how he got mixed up with them, and much more backstory on the Loki part.
I guess the other one would be Thor. I would like to have seen. I mean, his entrance is pretty rad, but I would have liked to have known a little bit more instead of just like one line of why he was able to get there. So that would have been nice.
Right? You guys both saw the original.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have liked to see Natalie Portman in it, just a little part.
Yeah.
A little bit. And also, I'm going to get hate emails for this. Nah, just kidding, no one cares, but Coulson dies. Spoiler. And that's...
It doesn't really work if you say spoiler after. You probably want to say that before.
Alright, spoiler. Coulson dies. So Coulson dies.
Right.
And that's kind of the unifying point that brings everyone together. I thought that was a little... Not the destruction of the world, but...
I completely agree. I think that this movie wrote Coulson in as a much more important part than we've been shown him to be. Not important part necessarily, but more important to the Avengers characters than we've been shown in the previous movies. Tony Stark didn't even know his name, didn't seem to care for him that much. Thor didn't. I mean, they were battling in the Thor movie. They disliked each other in the Thor movie, and Thor all of a sudden says that he was a friend. It's just, it was weird that...
And Bruce Banner,
he dies and says, Bruce Banner probably didn't meet him until they
That we saw or knew of. But,
Second by that, because, I mean, there are a lot of other S.H.I.E.L.D. agents that die before Coulson does. It doesn't have nearly the profound impact that it does on, bringing the Avengers together. But I think they also kind of wink at that, because Coulson says right before he dies, it never would have worked unless right before he dies.
Yeah, and is he dead? Or did they just take him away and say he was dead to bring them together?
Alright, next question.
Okay.
Avengers or The Dark Knight? Which is better?
There's two different. They're two different.
Which is better?
They are very different. I'm gonna go with Avengers because it's my kind of different. I like the jokes. You know, Dark Knight's pretty.
I guess not necessarily which is better. Which do you like more?
I like Avengers more, definitely.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go with Avengers right now. I'll see what happens after I watch it as much as I watch The Dark Knight.
Sure.
Just because I think The Dark Knight wanes a little bit. You know, it kind of slows down, and really, the dialogue is what kept the Avengers going. Like the banter between Stark and Bruce Banner, like when they're in the flying ship. I don't know what they call that, but
Yeah.
The helicarrier.
The Avenger Mobile.
And also, like, Avengers had a lot more winks to. You could appreciate the story and like the story on the surface, but there was a lot of winks to, like, you know that Captain America and Iron Man are gonna fight later on over leadership, and Thanos was the guy at the end credit where you saw he's the one who brought the alien force who worked with Loki. His backstory is kind of cool too, and it's kind of the Loki Thor story, so it's a nice little overlap. Just a lot of little.
Thanos wasn't in this movie, so I'm not sure if you can really count it. See, I'm going to have to disagree. I'm going to have to go with Dark Knight for the same reason that Barry said. Like, I think maybe Avengers might unseat it if it, stands up to multiple viewings, but The Dark Knight I could watch the other day.
Yeah, I mean, I watched The Dark Knight last week. I mean, I watched it a lot. Like, anytime I don't have anything to watch, I put in The Dark Knight, so I do love it.
And I'm afraid that I'm going to watch The Avengers again and not think it was as cool. Well, maybe like the third or fourth time that I watch it, I won't think it's as cool.
So, future Avengers movies, not necessarily Avengers 2, but Iron Man 3, New Hulk, Thor 2, Captain America 2. Are you guys worried at all about those movies now that you've seen Avengers and you've gotten the entire package? Are you worried about seeing just an individual movie now?
I think the Hulk is going to be the hardest one, just for the sheer fact that the writing of his character was probably one of the best, most encapsulating. Just that one line alone encapsulated that character so perfectly, like so simplistically.
Yeah, I think
that how is somebody else, like, who's going to take over that property? Who's going to be the one that writes it? Who's going to direct it? Like, it's going to have a lot to do. I mean, Ruffalo's going to be in it.
He signed up for like 10 more Hulk movies.
So, that's one step obviously in the right direction. They have to keep that continuity going, but I don't know. I'm worried about how well they're going to be able to manage just his whole story.
Yeah, and I think the reason the Hulk works so well in this one is because the Hulk and Bruce Banner were the same person.
Yeah.
Like in other movies, it's like Bruce Banner turns into the Hulk, and the Hulk's a different story. This one was like Bruce Banner always looked like the Hulk. He was always kind of like hulking around.
Yeah.
And just he's got an anger problem. He's got he is alone both as the Hulk and as Bruce Banner. Like I just thought this one he was finally one person. It wasn't a big, and that's gonna be hard to duplicate again. I mean,
and seeing the control, just even at the end, just the control, like again with that line, like he knew what he was in control of his character the entire time, like, and focusing his rage in the right places.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
to get back to,
I guess a villain would be I think that'd be the hugest crux for that movie. But everything else is going to be more of the same, I feel like. That one's going to be completely new, so I feel like the most worried about it.
I'm super worried about all of them just because it doesn't seem like anything's going to be able to top getting 6 of those characters together. And here's the deal. There's a reason that they're packaged together as the Avengers. It's because, Thor, Captain America, I mean, I don't see where they can go. Like those, I don't think Captain America is that interesting of a character.
Mm-hmm. They should do team-ups like Thor and Captain America have a movie, like Hulk and Iron Man have a movie. Which is the best? I love that the most is Tony Stark and Bruce Banner's friendship.
Yeah.
Because Bruce Banner finally has a friend.
and Tony Stark finally has a friend.
Yeah, they drive off together and they're kind of totally opposite characters and they fit together so well. I love that little touch to it.
Since the 60s, there's a reason that Avengers and X-Men are sort of packaged together, but stuff like Spider-Man and maybe, you might argue for Wolverine were standalone characters.
Yeah.
So,
it's definitely going to be tough seeing one on the screen and whenever we've already had
It's gonna be tough.
6 together. So, one more quick question. Whose farts would be more epic?
The Hulk.
Really? More than Thor, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The God of Thunder? The God of Thunder? Think of how his farts would be. Amazing.
Ryan, I'm gonna have to go with you. I think Thor.
I think Black Widow.
They held that shit in.
Yeah, they hold it in until it like recycles and brews. And no one would suspect her, no one would be able to know it's her, so she would just keep doing it.
Yeah.
She could really cause a lot of strife.
Do you think that when Hawkeye farts, the little arrow comes out?
Yeah, he can shoot a fart into only one person's nose. He can be like, hey, Barry. No! And he could change the farts up and stuff.
Let's end it there. There's not going to get any better than this.
Alright, thanks for watching.